Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Bridget, the Snake Diet Warrior, and thank you for tuning in. I lost 42.6 pounds in 3.5 months. And the next part of the video is how I did it. And I have to tell a little bit of the background. Want you to know I have 30 pounds left to go, and spring is coming very quickly, and I want to be ready for summer. I want to feel my best me ever. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, would you please do so and share and like it if you get something out of it? But I would really appreciate the subscription. I also appreciate all the comments and questions that I get about my videos and different subjects. I do answer all of them, so please write to me. I enjoy them. They challenge me. They delight me. They do so much more than you can actually believe. Well, I had gained weight and kind of desperate, but I found the snake diet on YouTube and Facebook. When I was looking at it, I was just fascinated at what I found about how fast people are dropping the weight and curing different medical illnesses and all these things. I was intrigued, so I kept looking into it. Not only weight loss, I was seeing people who were very thin wanting to gain weight. And you don't think about fasting and gaining weight together. So that was an aspect that was a little foreign to me, but trust me, it's working for people. And some of the medical conditions were like acne, high blood pressure, triglycerides, lower blood pressure, lowered triglycerides, cholesterol, a lot of those things. So I decided that the snake diet was going to be my choice to get myself into shape. And I had some had some challenging and complex health issues that I was dragging along with me to the snake diet. Snake diet, first of all, is a lifestyle that centers around fasting. It's not just about fasting, it's also about what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, who you're hanging around with, your possessions, what's around you. A lot of it is about being a minimalist lifestyle. And it really intrigued me because I had a lot of work to do in that area, especially the purging of my personal items. I had been suffering from complications and medical conditions arising from late-stage chronic Lyme disease. I had had it for 30 years and had gone untreated. The medical community in South Dakota where I was diagnosed stated that because it didn't exist in South Dakota and they had never had a case in South Dakota, that they thought it was a false positive. So they chose not to treat me. And I searched high and low and went everywhere I could, and everybody was saying, nope, can't possibly have it. So they just let me go for 30 years. And even though I had symptoms which were flu-like every single day and pain in my spine and muscles that surrounded it every single day, they still said, you don't have Lyme disease. And those are a couple of the very common symptoms. Eventually, my immune system began to fail and the disease took over. During the time that I was sick, I was 2 years bedbound, 7 years homebound. I was on oral and IV antibiotics for 7 years, and you can about imagine what that does to a person and their hormones. It was ungodly. Most of the time I was sick from that, but I knew the risks and I chose to take them because I couldn't take feeling the way I had been for so many years. In the last couple of years, I have gained a considerable amount of weight. I ended up because I thought I should be cured. I ended up comforting myself and dealing with loneliness and isolation by eating and binging. And of course, the prednisone that they were giving me too wasn't helping. There are times that I'd walk in front of the mirror and I couldn't even recognize my own face. It was a terrible experience, and I fought the prednisone, but without it, I didn't feel well. But I finally got out of that. Like I said, I was isolated, lonely, and I led a very, very sedentary lifestyle. I ballooned up to almost 200 pounds. And I remember last end of the summer, beginning of fall, I had found snake diet, but I did step on the scale trying to be brave, and I weighed in at 196. I couldn't believe that I could even get close to that, but after that I didn't weigh myself, even though I continued to eat more. So I assume I was at 200 or 200 more, and it hurts me to say that out loud. um, I never thought this would happen to me as a former athlete. I never weighed over 100 pounds till I was a senior in high school. I was 9 years on a swim team, competitive swim team, and I ran cross country and track in high school. And the only reason why I went over 100 pounds in my senior year is because I stopped swimming competitively. And at my age, I was going to age out in my senior year. So I thought, take the whole senior year just to, get involved with activities and get ready for graduation. After high school, I continued to be very active. I ran, I swam, excuse me, I lifted, weights. And that continued for many, many years, regardless of the feeling like I had the flu and that I was in a lot of pain. Back to the snake diet. I started out watching many, many hours of videos on YouTube about the snake diet. I studied and listened and I took notes. And most of the videos I watched were of Cole Robinson, who is the founder and creator of the snake diet. He has a very unique style, and as a fasting coach, you really can't beat him, in my opinion. Uh, but if you watch them, I just want to warn you, when you go to snake diet and you're watching his videos, he is a little abrasive, but what he's doing is brilliant. It's called branding, and branding is something that people can do for themselves, or they can do for their product. But the branding was himself. He's selling himself as a very knowledgeable weight loss and fasting coach, and his abrasive style is branding. And so there is some vulgar language, there's some shock value there, but trust me, he knows what he's talking about. If you don't look like his approach, but you still want to go into the fasting snake diet lifestyle, there's a lot of intermediate fasting out there, and that's fine. But to look at the snake diet with a gentler touch, I would Google or look through YouTube for Shameen Miller. She does a really good job. She follows and does the same thing Cole does, follows the snake diet, and I found her to be very refreshing and fantastic. But Cole, he's wonderful. And actually, I'll tell you, the first time I watched him and I saw him yell, that's the first thing he does is, "Hey, fatty." And I sat back and I laughed. I thought, oh, it was kind of shock value, somebody calling me a fatty when I used to be so sensitive. And I have become, desensitized to a lot of what he says, but he's so passionate about helping the obese and people who have health problems. He's a wonderful fasting coach, and people do seek him out to do one-on-one counseling and coaching. So, don't discount just because he's swearing that he doesn't know what he's talking about and that he isn't brilliant about how he's branding himself. First, to receive coaching, you have to post a picture of yourself on a group on Facebook. Facebook called the Snake Diet Motivation Group. So you'll post a picture of yourself in your underwear or swimming suit, underwear and bra for me, of your front, side, and back. And you cannot tuck your stomach in or your gut in. He wants to see all of it. This is accountability. And then you write out what you weigh, what your goal weight was, what your highest weight, and the medical conditions and the goals that you wish to receive. Now, Cole has had over a couple 100,000 followers, and those numbers have changed here and there, but make no mistake, he has hundreds and thousands of followers out there that know about the snake diet, and they can tell you about the guy on YouTube that yells at you about not eating. So you know that his branding is really powerful for him. So I did do that. I posted the pictures. I mean, I was just mortified to do that. I will be showing you pictures today, before and afters, which is hard to do, but I need to do that to be accountability to my tribe and my snake diet, followers and friends, and those of you visiting the channel. Soon after I joined the motivational group, Cole posted a question under there asking if anybody would be interested in coming to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. He wanted to start a fat camp. He had decided to rent out this big house, beautiful brand new house with all these different rooms. It was close to the campus in Edmonton. So it was one of those places where the rooms were big enough. Each room has a bathroom, and we can only assume it was for college students who are making, their parents were paying a pretty good penny to have them there. So it was just an ideal place. Of course, as soon as he posted that, I didn't write to him under the group. I wrote a message straight to him. I begged, borrowed, stole to get him to say, come. So I got in my car within like 2 weeks, packed it up, and I drove to Edmonton, Canada. I drove 19, 20 hours. And I did have a few stops because I had not driven over 2 hours at a shot in the last 7 years. So it was quite an undertaking, and I was desperate to stop this sabotaging and the damage I was doing to my body. When I got there, the serious fasting began and the tough conversations began. I started out doing 72-hour fasts, and at 72 hours, you break your fast and you eat a meal. And our window of eating is basically your meal, which is probably an hour, tops hour and a half if you're a slow eater and you're trying to enjoy your food. And so that's what schedule I was on. On the days that I didn't eat, we were drinking something called snake juice. Snake juice is a water with salts added to give you electrolytes during the day. And it has potassium chloride and Himalayan sea salts in it. And those provide you the electrolytes that are needed for healthy function, to keep your heart going. If you're at a certain age or not, really doesn't matter. You need the right amount of potassium. And it provided not too much potassium either. The nice thing about this electrolyte drink, it also staved off hunger. So the 72-hour fasts were a breeze, and drinking the snake juice, you get used to it. It's not the greatest taste, but right now I taste like water to me. So I stayed there, got my education, and then I left. After some really tough conversations with Cole about my lifestyle and things I really needed to get done at home that could be contributing to my health, poor health, and my weight, I went home to deal with, and I visited people along the way. But on to being home, I received counseling from Cole from back here in Minnesota, and I continued fasting. And I received a lot of education, more than you can imagine. It was hard to take in. Despite having surgery over Christmas, and there was 3 weeks during the 3.5 months that I was on the snake diet losing weight, there were 3 weeks that I couldn't do the snake diet and fast because I had hiatal hernia repair and fundoplication. I can't say that word. I've tried as hard as I can. Surgery and repair. And despite not being able to eat and follow the snake diet, I still lost 42 pounds, 42.6. I I continued on working on some of the life changes, and the number one thing that I was working on here at home was the decluttering of my home and getting rid of the things that I don't use. I have a lot of things. My parents have both passed. My son went into the Marine Corps, and I had a lot of their things, my things, and my son's things. So it's been quite a challenge, but it's really been healthy for me. There were a lot of things that I measured through snake diet, not just my weight. I measured my labs. My labs came back greatly improved. My kidney disease had normalized, which they didn't think would happen. My triglycerides were normal. My cholesterol, my inflammation markers had disappeared, and I find that fascinating. You know, with the inflammatory markers going down, a lot of my pain has disappeared. I still have pain, but the debilitating pain, I don't seem to have a lot of that. Another thing that I measured was blood pressure. Just the other day, I took it, and it was 107/72, which is amazing. I love it. It's great. This is my advice to you when doing this snake diet. Number one, share with your doctor what you want to do and get his advice, see if there's any concern. I have shared with my doctors. I talked to them about snake juice. As a matter of fact, my primary doctor wanted me to continue doing snake juice and then test for potassium versus putting me on 10 milligrams of potassium a day. And I like that idea too. I didn't want to add any medications. I had, decreased almost every single. I'm on one prescription right now, and I'm pretty proud of that, coming from 22 prescriptions a day that I had been taking. So that's what I recommend to you. Talk to your doctors. Most of them are up to date on the fasting and will support a fasting lifestyle. Number two, be consistent with your fasting. Make sure you're doing either 3 days, 2 days, or a sequence of 3 and 2, but make sure that you're consistent on it so that your body knows, oh, this is the time that I'm supposed to do this. This is the time I'm supposed to do this. Down the road, you can consult with a fasting coach on hard dry fasting, soft dry fasting, which can help you get your skin to tighten up after losing a lot of weight. So now, also, I wanted to talk about number 3, your refeeds. Make sure they aren't free-for-alls. Keep that window and plan them carefully. Eat till you're satiated and you're comfortably full, but make sure that you aren't eating a bunch of junk, because that'll just, throw your insulin levels all over, and then the next couple days you'll be fighting with that. So here are my before and after pictures. My first one. They're really hard to look at. My first one, I look at my face and I call that face Attila the Hun. This is number 2, my side view. And number 3. I really don't need to say any more. You can see how much the snake diet has helped me, and you can see that I have a lot of subcutaneous fat that is going to have to come back off in the next 30 pounds. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you in the future. Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe and like and share. I would really appreciate it. It really helps me go further. It's like extra coaching behind Cole. I really appreciate it. And as always, I send you my very best to all my fellow snake dieters, my tribe, and my new subscribers and visitors. Take care. Thank you.